What's going on, everybody? My name is Violent. I'm joined here with GregFPS, my co-host. How's it going, Greg?
It is going fantastic. What's going on, everybody?
We're doing the Power Up Podcast, episode number 5. This is a podcast that we do, a zombies podcast that we do every single Sunday. And this week, we have a very special guest, Dino. How you doing, Dino?
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
So, for some of you guys that don't know Dino, he's one of me and Grizz's friends, and he's also very active in the community and has a very good knowledge of everything that has to do with zombies. So that's why he's a guest this week. If you guys don't know who he is, you can check out his Twitter in the description as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep. We got a plate full of things to talk about today. We're going to be covering DLC 5. We're starting to believe that this is going to become a real thing, so we're going to cover quite a few topics as to why we think that's going to be happening and some things that might possibly be happening in the future with the DLC that we're seeing. So, Greg, you want to talk about what we're going to do first?
Yeah, so we have a good background as far as like things that we can go off of for thinking that DLC 5 is going to happen. There's a lot of proof that Treyarch has kind of hinted. So I think the first main thing as far as proof goes is looking at the new loading screens that we're getting from the comic. So far we've gotten the Moon loading screen, which was from a DICE conference that Treyarch did before Black Ops 3 was even released. And then we also got the loading screen for Nuketown, which was kind of zoomed out, which was good, and that was a different loading screen there than the original Nuketown. And then we also recently got the Ascension loading screen as well, which is totally different. So there's a lot of things there, and from that, I mean, just that in itself is showing new storyline implications, and it could possibly lead to some more remastered maps. Some of the main maps that are being mentioned as being remastered are Mob of the Dead, Origins, Ascension, and Moon. And all of those maps are fantastic. I mean, pretty much everyone can agree. Those are some of, by far, the most storyline heavy and some of the most, or the best maps in Treyarch's history as far as zombies go. So what do you think are some of the key things that you can kind of like point out? I guess you guys can both talk whatever you want, but what are like the main things that you notice that are different as far as these pictures go and the new loading screens?
Dr. Monty.
Yeah.
He's basically right there doing the whole shebang, writing the stuff in your left hand side. But in the Ascension loading screen, it was like a scientist, and he was doing the actual Ascension like blueprints, you can call it. But now Dr. Monty looks like he's doing like something different. It's not doing the blueprints, it's doing something different. So it's a bit strange that he's there instead of somebody else.
Yeah, do you think that character that was originally on there was like Gersh or Yuri? Do you think?
Yeah, that would make a lot more sense.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it could possibly be Gersh all the way on the right-hand side, kind of getting sucked into the Gersh device, and then it could be Yuri doing the work.
That's a really good thought.
Possibility, yeah, big possibility.
And we have the Moon loading screen, which we see some very, very distinct differences on, especially in the right-hand corner. Actually, the whole right page is completely different. So the meanwhile is missing on the new page, and I find that interesting, as though the Moon base was never built to begin with. So something's been drastically changed here. Then we have the spacemen leaving, walking towards the camera, versus before when they were walking towards the pyramid, it almost looks like. So, and Samantha on the right-hand side, I believe that's an image of Shangri-La. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yep. There was like videos made about this specific new loading screen, and if you match it up with Shangri-La, it fits perfectly. Like even like the ridges in that part like go hand in hand with Ascension, or not Ascension. Shangri-La. Sorry.
She's carrying her little teddy bear, so this is Black Ops at its finest. right here.
But
So
do you think it's
interesting.
predicting the past or the future? Do you think it's what we've already done and what we've already changed, like through Revelations,
It
or
almost shows.
what we're going to see in the past after the origins and after the Revelations and stuff? Do you think this is going to happen?
I like where you're going with that, because when I think about this picture, I think about Black
It
Ops
could be.
3 being a different
Hmm.
storyline than Black Ops 2. So if what's happening in Black Ops 3 is going to happen on Moon Remastered, we may have a whole different type of story. But we
Whole
have
different
Samantha.
conception.
We have Samantha, which I find very interesting, because in Revelations, we know she's just a child cooped up with the rest of the children. But we got that little extra bit of a cutscene. You guys remember that cutscene where she's looking out the window and we see the
Yeah.
summoning key rotating? I'm not sure if something there is connected with this image. I
Well,
have a
to me,
suspicion.
in that video, Samantha's got feelings, she's got emotions, but the rest of the children, for instance, Takio, Nikolai, they just stand there. They're not bothered what happens. They don't have no feelings. They're just standing there, not bothered. But Samantha's the only one that looks like she's got emotions. She's like caring. She's thinking about her dad leaving her again and stuff like that. She's the one with the emotions, and like it's like Dr. Monty's knowing that, and he's looking at her, thinking, "Oh, well, what's going to happen? Why is she like this?" And the others, not like this. You can call it.
Does Samantha have the ability to tap into every single dimension? I mean, that is a process that I haven't really thought of.
She's been through Agatha, so there's maybe something what Monty can't reach in Samantha that he can in other characters.
Every single time we see Samantha, can she choose who she wants to be?
Her choice, yeah.
And we also have that missing thing where we don't know who Samantha's mother is as well, which could be something important to keep in mind when we're talking about Samantha, because we don't know the origins of Monty and how he came to be, and we don't know anything about Samantha's mother. We only know about Maxis. So
Let's talk about Sophia for a second.
okay.
Kind of the implications that I got anyway is that there was some sort of love affair or something going on between those two. Is that what you kind of got, the vibe?
Sophia was in the original storyline. Sophia was just a worker for Group 935. Yeah. She was one of the scientists, and then she like had a love thing with Maxis rather.
Maxis.
So I don't think.
Became her secretary, right? She became secretary after
something
that?
like that. And I don't think she's Samantha's mother.
At that point, I believe that this is where the whole time surface messes up. At that point, I believe that Samantha's already gone, that Dr. Maxis has already basically turned Fluffy into a hellhound. The whole giant's been over and done with. And now they're in a different facility with Sophia. And the whole past with Samantha's mum's already done. I think we've already passed that through the actual Sophia part. I think we're missing something else.
Does it not imply that Sophia? There's a potential possibility that Sophia might be the mother.
I highly doubt that.
There's a possibility, but at the same time, to me, it feels like it was after Samantha was lost instead of before Samantha was born.
Yeah.
Like, Dr. Maxis feels like he's got the knowledge and all that stuff before. Well, he had the knowledge just after having Samantha and meeting up with Richtofen. So it feels like he must have met Richtofen and have a bit of knowledge beforehand. And that means Samantha must have been like at least either newborn or just growing up, if that makes sense. So
It does. So if you guys want to check out sort of the images of what we're looking at, they'll either be on screen or in the description. You can check out a link to Treyarch's A Brief History video, and that video shows basically the total history of zombies that Treyarch's accomplished, and it has these images in there. Yeah, at least the moon loading screen.
I want to talk about something else that I think is very interesting. So when you look at the new Ascension loading screen here, it looks like Monty is drawing something, and if you take a look at the outside ridges, it's gold, just like the scraps coming together to form the KN-44 picture that is scattered around if you get all the scraps on the giant. And it looks like he's drawing that here. So when we go chronologically through the zombie storyline, it would make sense to think that this ascension takes place before the giant because he's drawing it here. So if they were to remake Ascension and the other things, one could think that it might be before the characters go to the giant. And we also have the information that Richtofen has been learning about the Chronorium, and he's been gone for a couple years. So there could be this whole thing where maybe we're going and following around Richtofen's, adventures, I guess, per se, and maybe we're playing as the failed characters and versions of Dempsey, Takiao, and Nikolai, and we're playing as the failed ones until we get, the correct crew that happens and takes place during the whole Black Ops 3 storyline. So these maps could take place before that even happens.
Yeah, so Greg, let me touch on the DLC 5 image that you have there. You have the actual text on the bottom of the screen now. Go back to the original image. I just want to touch on the guy that's standing there that you think might be Yuri. The guy on the right being Gersh. Now, if we look at the other image, you see it's Dr. Monty as the architect, and we see a keeper.
Yeah.
So thinking about that, there's like a cause and effect that happens when Yuri's drawn out the plans of something happening. Is that implying that he knew what was going to happen to Gersh, and he was trying to plot something out? And then we have the image of Monty, and his sort of project is the Keepers.
Yeah, that's kind of up in the air, I would say, because we don't really know. Like, you can tell from the radios as far as, like, Ascension goes, what's going on there, and Yuri was just kind of mad at Gersh that he wasn't allowing him to do other jobs. He was kind of forcing him to do one thing that was boring to him. So then he ends up throwing the Gersh, and Gersh gets sucked in, and that's when you do like the Easter egg and send him up, and then he just randomly appears in Garad Krovi in Stalingrad. So there's a lot going on, but I really feel like we don't know enough information yet as far as that goes. I think that if they did in fact remake Ascension, I feel like they would either change the story completely with Gersh and everything, or they'd really flesh it out and explain a little bit more, maybe with radios or ciphers that are around the map.
Well, I kind of got something here, Dino. I'm going to start with asking you a question, and then I'm gonna ask Greg a question as well about this same picture that we got here. So we're going to start with the Ascension rockets that we're seeing on this picture, and then right below that, we're also seeing this dragon that looks very familiar. We've seen it in Zetsubu no Shima.
Yeah,
what do we take?
The cog.
Yeah. But what do we take from that knowledge? We take that Division 9 was in charge of these blueprints along with Group 935. So what I'm seeing here is an implication of Division 9 in the Ascension group. What are you seeing?
I'm pretty much seeing the same as you, but at the same time, touching on what Greg's just gone on, with the Keeper on your right hand side and Dr. Monty on your left hand side and Yuri on your left hand side and Dr. Gersh. Could they be basically representing each other in different worlds? Say like Dr. Monty was Yuri and Yuri was the creator, and Yuri was the one that basically got rid of Gersh and turned him, exposed him to a Keeper, as well as Division 9 being in there, and Division 9 basically plotting the way to get into Dr. Monty, and the Keepers a way for Division 9 to the Keepers are a way to protect Division 9 from Dr. Monty getting these truths, the secrets, the facts.
Another thing
what about you, Greg?
I want to mention this first as well. Another thing to keep in mind is on that blueprint of the dragon that we get in Zetsubo, it has the Group 935 as well as Division 9 on the logo. And if you think back to the original storyline, the Group 935 steals a lot of the Ascension Group's products. They steal the blueprints for the Thunder Gun, for example, as a big one. And also, they could have stolen these blueprints from the Ascension group and then worked out a deal with Division 9 from that.
Okay.
So that is something to keep in mind, because if you think about it, I believe that the Dragons were working with the Russians originally. And I think we see that on Garad Grove. They're kind of like on the Russian side against, Group 935 of the Germans. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
Okay. So Greg, what I was going to ask you about this image is the Gobblegums. We're seeing a lady in the background, and I want to know, do you think this is Samantha, Sophia? What are you thinking?
It's definitely Samantha. It looks exactly like her. Black hair, everything. I think that this doesn't really tell us too much information, because I can't really make out what was in the original Ascension picture. It just doesn't really show anything. It looks more of like test tube type stuff.
Right.
You can't really see anything like too important from that. But when you look at this new one with Samantha, obviously Gobblegums came in as a major role in Black Ops 3, and this could definitely, point out some... this is like one of the major clues that can clue you into the fact that, hey, we might be getting this remastered. If that's...
Right.
That's some heavy evidence.
Heavy, definitely. And this is a new image. This is at least the latest thing that we have right now.
Yeah.
Look forward to. So, with that said, do you have anything else you want to add to the loading screens?
Well, to me, sorry, dude. The picture with the Samantha and the Gobblegums, as well as the old picture with like Yuri, Dr. Gershon, that little picture sample, looks like that it's like a prison cell. So could that mean like a representation of like Samantha being locked away in her memories or whatever in Agartha, and finally coming out and realizing that everything's changed. Like she sees his Gobblegums, she sees everything's different, and she finds out that there's a new world, like a different world, what she can do to like help move along, you can call it. Because to me, in one of them, she's locked away, she's imprisoned, she's not there, but that could be her memory, her segment of her being locked away. And then we see Samantha staring at Gobblegums. It could be like, well, this is a massive change. What's gone off here for me to be down here, to be in here with these Gobblegum machine-looking things with Dr. Monty? Like, on the actual machines, who's Dr. Monty? Samantha could be looking at the name, and the reflection of the Gobblegum machine is like on her face. But she could be looking at Monty and thinking, well, has Dr. Monty changed this much and did this much?
It's an interesting theory.
But in my perception, it looks like that she's been locked away, and that's her memory segments, and you got another memory segment of her
definitely
looking
a
at
reflection.
In a
It might be
reflection.
a reflection too.
So it's like another memory segment of her looking at herself, like a mirror illusion kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it could be like the change, like what's changed and what's became.
Yeah,
So
one other thing I want to point out is if you look at the rockets, they might be from Drak, because if you look on the right hand side of the rockets, it looks like it's snow with trees.
And the other thing, Greg, if you zoom in on the rocket, it looks like it's got like an Iron Dragon symbol.
It does. You're right.
The Eisendrach symbol. It looks like that, the Iron Dragon. So that's what reminds me of the Eisendrach a lot too.
Yeah. Keeper makes sense too. That's not where we found the blueprint. We found the blueprint on the Giants, but they are very connected.
They all connected somehow, like Jason Blundell said. All maps are connected, either if they're big or small, like Newtown, for instance.
I'm glad you mentioned Drak, because that does kind of bow tie this all up to a big possibility that it's definitely one or the other now. Remastered Ascension or another version of Drak. Very interesting to think about.
I don't think they're going to go to that direction of things. I think they're going to stick with Origins, stick with Mob of the Dead, maybe Call of the Dead, Ascension, and maybe put another one in there just for the community to get hyped over. Because I know I would love to see Buried remake.
I think
to see Buried.
Most of the leaks that I have seen have been pointing to Mob of the Dead Origins, Ascension, and Moon being remastered and remade.
Hype.
So, as far as that goes, I mean, having the loading screens, I think, is something important. There's going to be 6 issues of the comic, which could mean 6 maps potentially, and we also have the implications of Mob of the Dead and Origins. So I think that it would be it would be Mob of the Dead, Origins, Ascension, Nuketown, and then there's still 4 more maps that haven't been shown. And we also have Moon as well, which could potentially add on to that group. But I think that there's so many different possibilities that could happen, because we know from Zetsuba no Shima, after that point when we finish the Easter egg, we teleport to Mob of the Dead and all the characters collect blood vials. Now, this is something that really, I think, would be a huge and amazing thing if Treyarch didn't just remaster the maps. If they added in a new story with the 4 Origins characters going to Mob of the Dead. Maybe there's another thing where they're actually doing something. I thought of something very, very interesting with... I was thinking about this before because I was on a different podcast with some other guys, and they were talking about stuff. And I thought of grief mode, and I thought of what if it's the Origins characters versus the Mob of the Dead characters, and basically you have to secure the blood if you're the Origins.
Oh, that's a good one.
That'd be so good.
I like that.
Hell yeah.
That would be so
Genius.
cool and a great way to implement that, because Jason Blundell has said in the past that he doesn't like having extra game modes unless they add depth to the story, which would
add so much depth and stuff.
To the
Perfect.
story,
Yeah.
and that would be awesome. And I really think that even playing as the Origins characters would be so cool on Mob of the Dead, just to add, you'd be able to learn more. Obviously, the map could change. It could take place after the Weasel kills the other characters and the cycle has been broken, or it could take place during the cycle continuing over, and maybe you have to break the cycle and kill the other characters before you kill Weasel. I mean, there's so many different implications here with this whole thing, and it's so crazy to think about. There's endless possibilities. Also, the whole thing with the moon loading screen, maybe that takes place before you blow up the moon on Horizon Drac. It could take place in a whole nother dimension. You could play as Dr. Groff and Group 935 characters. I mean, there's so many things that Treyarch could do with this, and that's only if they end up changing it, which I think they would, because we learned that after Garad Krovi, they had already finished all the maps. So that's a good chunk of time, because that came out in July, that they could have been working on these. I mean, and also we know that Revelations was... Well, what I meant to say was Revelations was done before Garad Krovi was released. So, I mean, that's a lot of time on their hands, and they pretty much already have all the assets there, and I wouldn't put it past Treyarch to do something like that and just blow our minds after how bad Revelations ended. Now, Revelations had a lot of stuff, but I think that if they were to do this and go in this direction, they could add so many new things to the storyline. They could add things to, more ciphers, more small Easter eggs, and just literally make the community go bonkers and be as hyped as ever,
Oh, hell yeah.
I like something that you mentioned earlier. We were talking about remastered maps, but I think part of the point you were harping on was remastered Easter eggs as well. And if we could get remastered Easter eggs, that of course would do new storyline additions. What if we got them in such a way where I think a lot of people really enjoyed the Easter egg in Horizon Drac where we got the Groff cutscene.
Yeah.
I think that was remarkable. That was a new stepping stone in a direction of storyline being told. And if they were to take that into consideration, like Revelations, where we have different segments of maps, and imagine a segment that was like Groff cutscenes, where we were having a little image of what happened on that map in that part of Revelations,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
things like that were going on to
dude.
tell the story, and that's something they could go off of, I think, big time with remastered Easter eggs.
Yeah, and even cutscenes on like Mob of the Dead that could show like Richtofen acquiring the blood. I mean, there's so much stuff there still that we don't know about.
Yeah.
And like all those things would be so cool. Like it'd be so cool to see the Keeper from Drak appear right there at, you know, the MPD and like grab it and then teleport it to Drak and just seeing it like disappear, you know? That would honestly be a pretty good training spot if there was no MPD there.
Definitely.
What I would love to
Right.
see implemented into the maps, because Greg's saying that there might be just 4 maps remastered. I think we have 4 to 5 gate worms and summoning key, don't we? It'd be awesome if they disappear, the gate worms and that, and we've got to search for them again in the other maps. But instead of searching for the gate worms, they appear to like blood vials and stuff like that. So we're searching for something different as well.
That would be cool. I like that a
So it
lot.
like links into that, the worms and that, and if you get them all, then maybe that's your super Easter egg, and that's what Treyarch could be implementing.
The last
Because they've still got time,
storyline
like, so.
thing I got one last storyline thing we can harp on, really, that can drive us into DLC 5. I think the souls that we captured, it's a big topic of discussion because it seemed like there was going to be a greater purpose with these souls that we collected.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that we have Samantha's soul as well, but when did we actually bring that into Revelation? Can we
That's
answer
the whole
that?
point. That's the whole point I'm trying to get at with my last answer. Said basically all the other children look like they have no emotions, they have no souls, but for some reason Samantha is right there looking at Dr. Matsis and this summoning key, almost like she's gonna cry, like she's got some emotions, like she's got some soul, like she's pure, maybe.
It's true, and she's the one soul we don't have an answer for. When we think of the giant, which was the first map that we got, that was Richtofen's soul. It was not Samantha's soul.
Exactly.
Shadows of Evil was not Samantha's soul. That was just getting.
We also
the
found
summoning
out that
key.
Richtofen does not have a soul either.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, that's true. That was in Zetsuba, I believe.
Well, guys, want to explain that a little bit?
Yeah, you want to go for it, Gino?
It's in Zetsuba, isn't it? If it's the right thing I'm on about.
I believe there's a cipher or a radio where Max is explaining how Dr. Monty, how he's kind of messaging Dr. Monty to Richtofen, but Richtofen doesn't have a soul. We also have found out, and I'm not sure where exactly this was, but apparently Richtofen was Monty's apprentice as well.
Yeah, Dr. Monty, he quotes that in Revelations when he's talking to Maxis, basically saying that your apprentice will be here soon, don't worry, Maxis. And then the alarm comes off. I'm sure that's part of the quote. But Dr. Monty's saying something to Dr. Maxis, sorry, about the apprentice is coming to see him soon, meaning Richtofen.
I just thought about this. We go from Origins happening to the cutscene. Bam! That's the exact moment we know that Samantha, her soul's already been taken to Revelations at that point. That's the beginning of the cutscene.
Yeah, and we also, it's crazy to think that some of the ciphers that we get on, I believe, Garad Krovi or Zetsubo, I think it's Zetsubo, we actually hear the radio of the knock of Monty showing up to that house. And it's at the exact moment because it's the exact same moment because you hear in the radio the exact quote of what Maxis says, like, close the window.
Shut the windows,
and then, yeah. The exact same quote. It's
Dude, that game is so much goosebumps. Just to think about that, they link them two up together. That radio as well as the radio in Origins cutscene.
Yeah.
Just makes so much sense to be together.
Uh-huh. I mean, dude, Treyarch's crazy, man. They're crazy.
They can put anything in
I
anywhere
flipped
they
out
want.
when I heard that radio for the first time. I was like, oh shit, that's the same point. Oh my gosh. And
Nostalgia.
yeah, dude.
Straight
And
away
like,
for me.
there's still so much they could do because we know that Origins or like Premise afterwards, you know, they had already completed or defeated the Apothicons. When we see them in the end of the Revelations cutscene, they already completed it because we know from a cipher on, I believe, Durazn Jack that the stood upon the mound or something, and their light
Yeah.
shine for all to see or something like that. They were the first,
Yeah.
they are the last, and something like that. So it would be really cool to possibly, instead of going directly to Origins with a remake, if they remade it but made it different and made it like the Great Battle.
Right. We need that great battle.
I mean, that would be
Definitely.
awesome. And plus, on Origins, we're using the staffs that Maxis made copies. Like we hear Samantha say, "The staffs my father made copies,"
Yeah.
or something like that. Like, where are the original staffs? You know, like we could use those as the premise characters, and that's possibly what they're holding when they're standing on the mound at the end of the Revelations cutscene.
Right. I got another theory for we got a topic coming up. I think we covered most of game modes. I mean, you blew it out the park with game modes, so I think we can go straight to cross map artifacts. And when we're thinking about cross map artifacts, it's something we can take with us from map to map. And kind of the idea that I just got when you mentioned Origins and the stabs and the original stabs, is that what if the piece that we're collecting map to map is just a part of the original stabs and we're building them for the final battle?
Holy
Yeah, that was so good.
Right? Wouldn't that be nuts?
Awesome. Dude, you need to make a video about that.
Dude, that'd be so good. Hell
I
yeah.
might make that.
Dude, yeah, that would be fantastic, dude. That would be awesome.
But at the same time, it'd be a race in between Infinite Warfare and BO3, because I'm sure Infinite Warfare is doing the exact same to make a staff at the end of it all. So it's going to be like a race, maybe, if they did implement that.
See what you mean, like a staff. It might be some sort of futuristic weapon or something. Maybe not quite a
That's
staff,
some
but the cross map
Apothicons kind of
thing is definitely happening in Infinite Warfare. And the limelight will be taken, I think, for a little while, but I think it's going to be a cherished treat every now and then when these DLCs come out for Infinite Warfare Zombies. We'll go to it, beat it, it's going to be great. Come back to DLC 5.
Yeah.
And that'll be the lifestyle we'll live for a while.
But I just don't want the
Definitely.
Arcade 5 as a reward. You do all that for the Arcade 5. Is there something else what we can do to acquire something to get the last piece, to like get the actual thing? Because it can't just be the Arcade 5 what we get. Treyarch must be planning something else for like a troll. Say like, oh, you get the Arcade 5 till this point. Then maybe
Seriously.
at another future point you get something else.
A grenade. Get a special grenade
Just
this
the
time.
one. Just
You
the
get
one.
you get trip mines instead of grenades.
Yeah, it takes them.
Oh,
Takes them
hype, dude. Hype. Get the Shiva.
Oh baby.
But the other note that I have here is that the golden rod and the nav card are things that we've seen in the past. I guess in conjunction with the golden rod in Black Ops, we also saw the focusing stone. Nav card went through Black Ops 2. Was there anything else that went through Black Ops 2 that was some sort of artifact that we took with us that you can remember?
Not that I remember. I think the nav card thing was really cool because you had to go to a different map and then go back to the map to do that. And I think that, I mean, they could totally throw a curveball in with remastered maps. I mean, that's kind of what people were thinking of with the main Easter egg based off the nav card thing. We're going into, you know, bringing that upgraded Margwa heart or whatever. You know, remember the other Margwa heart?
That was
like
the huge
purple?
hype.
Oh, hell yeah.
Everyone was
so
so
much
hyped for that, and everyone
So
thought it was
much.
something that you were going to need, and then it ended up not being anything. So there's definitely something they could add in there, kind of like what everyone was hoping for. as far as like the nav card thing goes, because you had to like beat Die Rise and bring that one to transit, and then the transit one went and buried or something like that. Like it was crazy. But
and the new age, we got Gateway.
Then we see the golden rod that comes back into Eisendrach.
Yeah, so and it's not...
Maybe our characters are just carrying it just because, like, an inventory for them instead of us.
Yeah, well, the thing about the golden rod is it didn't look like it had the focusing stone in it.
Yeah, it was that missing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting you brought that up, too.
But it was that's on Moon, you know.
Looked the same, though.
Yeah,
when
exactly,
we picked it up, we picked up the golden rod, it, like, showed up.
Another thing to think about this is the Russians were the one who were in control of Dempsey. And then we shoot down the rocket. So it could be the Ascension group going to Moon.
Oh, dude.
It's true.
Because weren't they going to the Moon?
I mean, was it the Russians?
There was head in there, but didn't they, like, kind of fail?
Well, they got shot down, yeah.
Yeah.
So
there was head in there, but maybe in another part of the universe they actually made it there.
Yeah.
But at the same part, it would be cool to see, like, in the Eisendrach, you see the moon blow up. What if you was then other characters, like, say, maybe Gersh or someone, or Graf, and you was in the moon, and you could actually see the moon blow up right before you, like, you see yourself blow up and you see the whole screen blow up as well. So you see like two sides of the Easter eggs.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool if they did remake the Easter egg on Moon.
So on the moon you could be like trying to stop the
If it was kind of like a race to save the moon and the base and not let it get blown up.
Yeah, and you have an allotted amount of time. Like maybe you could play zombies for as long as you want, but like the map theoretically is timed throughout the Easter egg.
Yeah, and another thing to keep in mind is on Moon, after you complete the Easter egg and you go to Area 51, Area 51's destroyed.
Yeah.
Like, it's all red and dark and everything. So that's another thing to keep in mind, too.
I've always thought they've destroyed it because there was withholding evidence, so there was they moved everything, they like moved away, they like destroyed everything, got rid of all the evidence and like moved into a different base. I've always thought that they basically just like left everything a bomb site and like got all the records and all the details and moved on.
Right. And that leaves Nuketown. Why is Nuketown so important? Like, I'm still mind-boggled at, I mean, it's a mining area, but what is so drastic about this?
Richtofen takes control of the zombies on round 30 and their eyes turn blue.
Ah. Okay.
So that's something. Also, we learned that Marlton is in the bomb shelter.
Mm-hmm. He's not stuck there. Well, he's not stuck there, but it's kind of like
he's scared.
Been put there. It's been put there, hasn't he? Like kind of thing.
So if Nuketown's having some importance right now, is it just going to be comic related, or will we see this in DLC 5?
I'm hoping it's linked a comic through to the game. Make a whole story about it, like, instead of just leaving it to the
I'd really like
comic.
to learn more about Nuketown, but I feel like it's more of kind of just one of those, like, you pay $5 for a map and you get
but when someone mentioned the name Nuketown, you expect, I don't know, but to me, Nuketown, I expect like a zombie apocalypse. I expect like a whole load of zombies coming at you. You've got nothing, you got a small piece of area. So, I don't know, I think they've used that map just for the fitting.
I think with that, this could go with the whole game modes thing. Like, Grief would be really fun on Nuketown.
Yeah.
True. So that might be another reason why they'd introduce it.
At the same time, imagine like a multiplayer.
Set the theme.
Imagine like a thing where you just click on Grief in Zombies, and it has like the multiplayer thing where it cycles through the maps. And just has specific maps for that. Like, maybe you can play Burrow, maybe you can play, and have all those.
Like a separate mode, I guess. Not mode, but like segments where part of it is like what you're talking about, where you play as the characters, the premise characters, or just the regular Origins characters versus the Mob of the Dead characters. but I want customization. That's a perfect
But-
place to add a customized character to.
What you're thinking about there, though, is the space of what it takes on a disc. If we want maps, and that's going to take a lot of space on a disc as well as a hard drive. And Treyarch's going to be like putting that into thought. So with all the customization, with all this, I don't think there'll be enough room to implement everything like the customization.
I honestly
the
don't
maps,
I see what you're
the
saying.
I
Easter
think it's
eggs.
too late for customization.
They're gonna ram the data too much, too quick, especially after DLC 5, and it's just gonna make the sales like drop. You can call it.
You think that idea is out there though for the next game?
Yeah.
Oh
For-
yeah.
For the next game made by Sledgehammer,
branch
I
out.
think they will have customization.
Definitely, yeah.
I hope they commit
But-
to it.
For right now, I think it's too big for their fragment of a disc. Obviously, with Nightmare being a mode, with what's it called? That thing with the gorilla, that being a
Dead
Oh yeah,
mode.
Dead Ops Arcade.
Yeah, you've got it. I hate that, buddy. I hate it.
I hate that mode too. I do
Dude,
too.
it's so bad. And obviously having now the DLCs as well, I think it's already crammed enough. So we might be able to fit 4 maps, but maybe just 4 maps with maybe a little Easter egg. But you got to think is it 52 gig at the minute, the disc with all the DLCs. So there's not a lot more to fit into it.
Well, we could talk about a subtle change, and it's our last topic that we got for this podcast for this week at least, and it's about a universal mystery box. And we know of all the maps converging together, world bleeding is what a lot of people like to call it. We don't quite see that in the mystery box at all times. Each map seems to be very specific for weapons, and that's kind of the joy of going back to Zetsubu no Shima, for instance, is to play with the marshals. You're not going to get that anywhere else. But the idea of a universal mystery box in these new maps, at least, what are your thoughts on that? Would you like to see all the weapons in there, or is that taking up too much space in the cycle?
I would like to see some, but some left out, like some useless ones, for instance. Like the community, they hate snipers. For zombies, it's not your best friend at all, except for the
They're
Dracon.
useless. Snipers
Dracon's Bay.
suck.
Dracon's Bay, but other ones just suck. So maybe take some out and replace them, but obviously not pile them on top of each other. I would say.
I agree. But you, Greg?
I mean, I think that the whole world leading thing with the box was nice, but at the same, like, I would have liked to see like the marshals, for example, on Revelations. You think they would have added more stuff?
Definitely.
We got
Definitely.
we got the M1927, which was nice to see
Especially on Revelation.
because
The
we had
PPSH
on
going
Revelation.
crazy.
yeah. I'm surprised the PPSH wasn't on Revelations either, because a lot of people like that. But like, just the M1927, I mean, that was important, and that was on Mob of the Dead.
I think it is.
Origins.
Sorry, Greg. I'm sure it is. The PPSH is a gun as well. I'm sure you can
not
get
on
it.
Revelations. It's not.
Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure.
I don't think it is either.
Sorry, just that the same looks of the PPSH and the Tommy gun. That's all. They look so much alike. That's all.
Well, yeah, the fire rate's pretty much the same, I would say, but they're a little different.
Okay,
but
sorry.
I like the whole world leading thing. I mean, just I'm getting hyped more and more talking about and just thinking about this stuff, man. Because like, there's
Who do you think controls it? Do you think Dr. Monty controls the whole boxes, or do you think the keeper? We know Dr. Monty controls the perks, but do you think the keepers control the boxes?
Why would the keepers control the box though?
Because what else have the keeper got to control in the actual game? They've got nothing really. Dr.
like they're
Monty's
tools.
just...
They're just tools that they use. Do their work. Like they have powers, but they're mindless, I think.
They have power, but they don't use it. So why couldn't it be a possibility that they could
feel
be
like it's a
the
possibility
choices?
that Dr. Monty is the one.
They could be the guardian of the boxes. They could be the Pandora boxes, for instance.
They always talk about having help from somewhere mysterious, and I see a
Dr.
lot of
Monty's-
times the quotes that they are talking to Monty when they're referring to the box. I do think it's connected to Monty, but I mean, you bring up some interesting points. I mean, I think these were questions we had around Derizen Drax time. And then it all kind of came together Well, when did we learn about
Yeah.
Monty for sure? That was Go Rod. All the way up until Go Rod is when we kind of all came together with Dr. Monty, at least for that angle. But the mystery box it's just a slight improvement to make it universal. I think too many weapons could be a bad thing, especially if it affects the cycle. Like you never get the weapon you want because there's too many weapons in there. That would be problematic. So
Yeah.
picking and choosing the weapons, I think, is very important. The other thing is, do you think maybe for the Black Ops 4 title, because like you said, disk space, I don't think they could handle this either. But create your own Pack-a-Punch camo. I think that'll ever be a thing.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
I don't think it would happen in Black Ops 3.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I
No,
don't think
Black Ops 4?
maybe the next one.
Yeah, maybe the next one, or, I mean, if you're listening at all, Sledgehammer, wink wink.
Right. I'm excited for their zombies mode too. I don't know what to expect with that, so I find it hard to talk about at this point in time. But I love the idea of the mysterious zombies coming up.
Only what I expect is Exo. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but that's what I expect.
So that was kind of like the last topic we had, right?
We can talk
I
about
believe
that.
so,
Did
yeah.
you
I
want to
believe
touch
so.
on the world record thing at all?
Yeah, go for it. Greg here, he's been playing Mob of the Dead lately and been crushing it. What's been happening there, Greg?
So, me and my friend Luna, who was on the podcast last week, we finally beat the Mob of the Dead Easter egg speedrun time, which was a huge accomplishment for me and for Luna as well. It took us about 40 hours of time over the course of the week. We played for about a week straight. We streamed twice a day that entire time, like 5 hours every night, and also
Not to mention all your
streamed-
practice before then. You've
Yeah.
been doing this for weeks.
Yeah.
Well, your determination's been awesome. I've seen the leaderboard and it says GregFPS in first position and as well as third with Starburst.
Yeah.
So you've made some amazing determination just to even think about doing the world record, not just once, but twice.
Yeah, and like the coolest part for me is I love, like, I think even my subscribers know, like, I love the meta of maps. Like, I love learning all the ins and outs of everything, and same Grizz knows this too. Like when we play on like Raven the Redwoods, for example, like you know how we learned all the ins and outs and like what worked and what didn't. We found like different strategies that no one had thought of, you know, and
just trial and error.
That's really how like we kind of worked on Mob of the Dead, where we took a different approach. We saw what these guys did to get basically a minute ahead of me and Starburst time, and we added that into our own. But we had that added, like those things that they added to make it faster. But we also implemented other things that made our run faster with those included. And I mean, like honestly, we only got 4 seconds ahead of that, but at the same time, like there were times where we were on the first plane a minute and 20 seconds before they were on the first plane. So we could definitely get a better time, and I think we might attempt it a couple times, like maybe throughout this week.
Nice.
But I know for a fact, like, we can destroy that time, because it was, like, one part where he grabbed the shield, which was, like, 5 seconds wasted there. I mean, there was a lot of different things that we could have implemented to make it better. And last night, I am subscribed to Kevin Sherwood on YouTube, and he follows me on Twitter and stuff, and I told him that we beat it, and he said, no way, that's awesome, DM me the video. So I DM'd it to him, and he said, I'm going to share it around the office, which I think is
nice.
insane.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Right now, Greg, you're the current world record holder for Mob of the Dead, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice, dude. So there you guys have it. You have also the...
Congratulations, dude.
Definitely congratulations. But you guys also got tips on ways to try to beat other people's times. That's kind of what Greg just shared there. So thank you for that.
Yeah. It's a lot of hard work, man. We do have plans to move on and do other maps. I know one map we want to try to eventually beat is Derision Drac, I think. That would be a really good one.
Nice.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff, and there's even a potential that we might go for the 3 and 4 player world records on Mob as well.
Okay. That'd be awesome if you could crush all of them
Do you
at one
know
time.
the world record for the third and fourth?
They're
Just
a lot
out of
shorter.
interest.
I believe they're like, I think it's like 20 minutes for 3
Oh,
player.
damn.
Yeah,
Dang,
and it's
dude.
like 18 for 4 players, something like it's short.
Damn, dude.
Holy
Yeah,
crap.
but like, dude, like the strategies that we implemented were
Yeah.
ridiculous, man. Like, oh jeez, like just like we would down ourselves on purpose at the first dog, and then one of us
That's
would
so-
jump up, shock the gondola, go open up the warden's office, all in that same afterlife, jump up, get back, and
Revive
like
yourself.
like even at the numbers, we would down ourselves right at the numbers, and you spawn at the top of the spiral staircase. So you go down, see all the numbers, shock the thing, and revive yourself right there. Grab the piece because you're literally like right at that small top of the small staircase. I mean,
Dang,
it's
dude.
like crazy stuff. Like one of us needed 1,500 points to buy that gate in between
I
because we
saw
were
that.
separated,
Yeah.
and that actually was a huge reason why we were able to get a faster time, I think, because we didn't have to wait and spend 1,500 for that door. We could save that to buy the infirmary and open up the cafeteria. I mean, crazy stuff. It's so fun. I love
I've
it.
stopped by some of your streams, and I've definitely noticed. I've seen when you restart, every time you mess up just a little bit, because that's so detrimental to the overall time, isn't it?
Yeah. Like even there were times where we were getting like 40 seconds for round 1 when it ended, and like 45 seconds and stuff. If we got like past like 50 seconds, we would just restart. Like
Oh, wow.
that's how close the time is. Like if we can really get a perfect run, I think we could beat that time that we have by a minute.
Nice.
And that would make it pretty much impossible for anyone to beat it, because like honestly, it was so much work for 4 seconds faster, 40 hours. I mean,
Wow.
like it's a lot
Grind
of
is
work.
real.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
Grind.
Like me
for sure.
myself, what I would put into interest with your video itself is you didn't buy a lot of guns, you stuck with the one gun. See, I saw a world record and it was buying like 2 to 3 guns, and that's not the best way to go. I'm just letting you know, obviously, that just buying the one gun and sticking with the one gun is a lot easier and a lot quicker than just like moving on and spending your points.
Yeah, because the original, like the guys who had the strategy before, one of them bought the M14, and we
Yeah.
tried that, and I am absolutely awful with the M14. So I
Oh,
tried
it's a
the
hard gun,
Olympia,
dude.
and I was awful with the Olympia as well. So we were like, screw it. Let's just do this first, see if it improves our time, and we'll both buy the MP5, and it ended
Yeah.
up working out much better. So, I mean, just like, you kind of gotta adapt how you're doing the record with your playstyle as well to make it fit. And that's what makes it so unique, is like you really have to, see what works and what doesn't for yourself and your playstyle, as opposed to like other people and their records and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's just about your strategy. It's like, do I really want to pay for a gun and mess it up for the other player so we can't open the door? Or do I want to save these points and carry it on and open the door after I've got the points? It's all about strategy, isn't it? And like some people just think, oh, I need monkeys, I need to get this, I need to get a different gun.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't
I don't
even
know
hit the
this
box
gun, so-
once, man.
Exactly,
Like
dude.
it's all like full speed ahead. You're sprinting.
It's all about money. It's
24/7.
not about your guns. It's not about what you got or if you got a shield on your back.
And
You just gotta keep.
it's hard as hell with no jug in the infirmary.
Oh,
When you're
hell yeah,
jumping
dude.
down, like you have to go to like the warden's office, and you have to make it past like a full round of zombies basically on like round 7 that are coming up the stairs. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy hard. Like, I know at the end we both had jug, which was nice, and that helped us out a lot, but like it is crazy difficult. And like you have to get the blundergat, which is by throwing the tomahawk at all the skulls. So we had to do that in a timely fashion. We also had to Shock the spoon behind after throwing the tomahawk at the poster, which is another
Mm.
thing. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that went into it that we didn't even like realize. We're like, oh crap, we have to do that.
Dang.
There's like 5 to 6 steps I can think of already of just like the Easter egg on its own. How many steps is there actually to do? Is it like one of the smallest of the Easter eggs, or would you say it's
Yeah, no, it's
not as small as
by
the other
far
ones?
one of the easiest Easter eggs. I think that it's really easy. You just have to build the plane 3 times, fly across 3 times.
So you think anybody can do it? Like anybody who puts their mind to it can
honestly, I
just...
think it's the easiest Easter egg. But
Nice.
as far as like speedrun timing, it's really hard.
Of course, any maps like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll touch on patch notes and the latest things we've seen for Black Ops 3.
Yeah.
Just because the last thing we saw was patch 1.20. That patch brought a fix to the DG4 and the Anywhere But Here Gobblegum. That's like the last thing we've really seen, and that was at the beginning of this month, so a little over 3 weeks now. It's the last patch update for Black Ops 3. A lot of people are speculating in between DLC 2 and 3 for Infinite Warfare Zombies is when DLC 5 will happen. It was at first projected like September in the fall. But now they're saying that it might be in the spring. So that's like the latest update I have, at least.
Yeah, I'm
throughout the
thinking
patch notes and whatnot.
like June, I would say would be a good time.
Not June? Yeah, I think so too.
Because usually DLC 3 comes out in July, so I think
Okay.
June would be a good time in between 2 and 3. Yeah. I mean, I don't really think they're updating Black Ops 3 too much right now, but we do see it every once in a while when they added new guns, and I think that's when the last patch came out where they added the PPSH and the M16.
Or to tag on to what you were just saying there, I think that in between DLC 2 or 3, that month where Xbox is kind of left alone, I think that's definitely a month where they can pop that sucker out. Because I think they're going to hit both markets at the same time with DLC 5.
Yeah, I think they're going to release DLC 5 before they announce and showcase the game. Like Sledgehammer's Call of Duty to get the hype going.
Definitely, because they're going to want to make this back-to-back type of hype. So
Yeah.
it will be DLC 5 before 2017.
There's a lot of stuff to think about, man. There's so much cool stuff going on.
Definitely. You wanna close this one out this time, Greg?
Yeah, so once again, guys, I want to thank Dino for being our guest this week. If you
Dino.
guys want to check out any of his
Appreciate
links,
being here, dude.
they're down in the description. Go check them out and send him some love. And once again, this is the Power Up Podcast. Me and Grizz are the co-hosts of this
Episode
podcast.
number 5.
And we upload it every single Sunday, so don't forget, next week we'll have a brand new episode. We have some guests in the works that we're going to be getting. We've been talking to Lagan. We've been talking... I eventually want to get Kevin Sherwood on the show, and some other people as well. There's a lot more people in the community that we can get, so...
Hell yeah.
It's going to be awesome, so make sure you guys follow us every single Sunday. And let us know if you think we should start putting this show maybe on like another thing like SoundCloud or iTunes or anything like that. If you guys think that would be a good thing to do, let us know. But anyways, thank you so much for hanging out and listening to this. And if you made it to the end, I want you guys to comment down below DLC 5 hype. Okay, if you made it to the end, comment that down below in me and Grizz's comment section and let us know if you guys stayed. And that really does mean a lot. If you guys stayed, you're the real MVPs. So we'll see you next week with another episode. Peace out.
You guys.
Peace.